Get ready. In this special video, we're diving into 9 things you should never tolerate from anyone, not even from those closest to you. And no, we're not talking about receiving ugly socks for Christmas. There are certain attitudes and behaviors we simply cannot accept, from unsolicited opinions to the expectations others place on us that can stifle our personal growth. But don't worry. Not only will you learn to spot these emotional pitfalls, but I'll also guide you on how to gracefully and confidently reject them. And stick around until the end, where I'll unveil the most detrimental thing you should never accept, along with tips on turning it to your advantage. Let's get started. 1. The trap of unsolicited opinions. Have you ever felt like you attract unsolicited opinions like a magnet? Those comments come out of nowhere, much like an overzealous door-to-door salesperson trying to sell you something you never asked for. Well, my friend, today we're addressing the first weed that must be cleared from our personal gardens. Picture this: you're in line at the supermarket, ready to pay for a cart overflowing with fresh fruits and vegetables. Suddenly, the woman behind you glances at your items and exclaims, "Oh dear, don't you think all that fiber will cause gas?" Boom. Unsolicited opinion at its finest. These moments might seem trivial, even funny, but the truth is that unsolicited opinions can be as toxic to your dreams and self-esteem as weed killer. Why is that? Because often without realizing it, we start doubting our choices, questioning our judgment, and in the worst-case scenario, living our lives according to others' expectations. The wise Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "Do not concern yourself with the opinions of others, except when they align with your own principles." Such wisdom packed into just a few words. So, how do we incorporate this into our daily lives? It's not about becoming grumpy hermits who ignore everyone. Instead, we need to develop an internal filter, a sort of detector for useful opinions. First, ask yourself, did I request this opinion? If the answer is no, you already have a clue. Second, consider whether the opinion is coming from someone who genuinely understands your situation and has relevant experience. For example, if your neighbor, who has never worked in your field, is giving you career advice, he may not be the most authoritative source. Here's the crucial part: does this opinion resonate with my values and goals? Ultimately, you are the expert on your own life. No one knows your dreams, fears, and motivations better than you do. That said, we're not advocating for completely dismissing all advice. Occasionally, unsolicited opinions might hold valuable insights. The trick is learning to sift through them like a gold digger searching for precious nuggets amid a river of stones. So, the next time someone offers you an opinion you didn't ask for, smile and acknowledge the gesture, even if it's from that lady in the grocery store line. Then, decide if that opinion deserves a place in your mental garden, or if it's better to let it drift away. Remember, your mind is like a beautiful garden. Nurture what you plant there, because that's what will flourish. If any unsolicited opinions slip in, don't hesitate to wield your mental scissors and prune them out. 2. The dangerous gift of other people's expectations. Have you ever felt as though you're living a life that belongs to someone else? Picture your life as a beautiful, blank canvas. You hold the brush, ready to create your masterpiece, but suddenly, bam! Your parents, boss, friends, and even society appear, each armed with their own color palettes, dictating precisely how you should paint your picture. You should become a lawyer, one says. Get married before 30, insists another. Buy a house, have kids, and secure a stable job, they all chorus together. Before you know it, your canvas is filled with strokes that don't feel like your own. This imposition of other people's expectations can be more treacherous than a snake hiding in your garden. Why? Because unlike unsolicited opinions, these expectations typically come from people we love and respect, making them significantly harder to disregard. However, here's the intriguing part: history is rich with individuals who boldly defied the molds of expectation. Take Albert Einstein, for instance, the disheveled genius who transformed the field of physics. Did you know his teachers labeled him as a mediocre student? They even predicted he would never achieve anything significant. They couldn't have been more mistaken. Einstein didn't just defy expectations, he obliterated them. He dared to think differently, challenged the status quo, and ultimately transformed our understanding of the universe. Can you imagine the outcome if he had heeded the doubts of those around him? Now, we're not suggesting you should completely disregard everyone's opinions and live like a rebellious hermit. The key lies in learning to filter those expectations, determining which resonate with your true self and which ones to discard. This is where the Stoics come in handy. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, had a brilliant approach to handling external expectations. He stated, "Some things are under our control, and some things are not." It's simple, yet immensely powerful. Applying this concept to other people's expectations means understanding that while you can't control what others expect of you, you can control how you respond to those expectations. So, the next time you feel the weight of others' expectations pressing down on you, take a deep breath and remind yourself these are their expectations, not yours. Ask yourself whether this expectation aligns with your values and goals. If the answer is no, be grateful for the intention behind it, as it often stems from a place of care, and then let it go. Remember, you are the artist of your life. No one else can paint your masterpiece. Living under the expectations of others is akin to wearing shoes that don't fit, uncomfortable, and potentially harmful in the long run. So, dare to walk barefoot if necessary, but do it on your own terms. Remember, my friend, at the end of the day, the only person you must coexist with is yourself. So why not make that coexistence an exciting and authentic adventure, free from the burdens of other people's expectations? 3. The hidden burden of favors with ulterior motives. Have you ever received a gift that felt too good to be true? Picture your life as a game of chess. You're carefully positioning your pieces, planning your strategy, when suddenly someone offers you an extra pawn. Sounds great, right? But what if that pawn is actually a Trojan horse, poised to undermine your defenses from within? Favors with ulterior motives are just that, poisoned gifts masquerading as acts of generosity. They may seem harmless or even beneficial at first glance, but they often carry a hidden burden that can far outweigh any apparent advantage. So, how can we spot these deceptive favors? Here are some clues to consider. First, observe the frequency. If someone consistently offers you favors for no obvious reason, that should raise some red flags. Next, pay attention to the timing. Does the favor come just when that person needs something from you? That's a bit suspicious. Trust your intuition. If something feels off about a favor, it likely is. Lastly, analyze the consequences. Does the favor put you in a compromising position, or does it pressure you to reciprocate immediately? Now, we're not suggesting you should become paranoid and refuse all help. The key is to cultivate a genuine favor detector. Seneca, one of our Stoic friends, had much to say about true friendship and generosity. He believed that authentic favors are offered simply for the joy of helping, without any expectation of something in return. So the next time someone extends a favor, ask yourself, is this person acting like Seneca in my life, or more like an undercover salesperson? Remember, not all favors come with strings attached. There are genuinely generous people in the world. The trick lies in learning to identify them. And here's the most crucial point: learn to say no without feeling guilty. If a favor doesn't sit well with you, or if your instincts signal something is amiss, it's perfectly acceptable to decline politely. After all, your peace of mind is worth far more than any favor. Don't let anyone make you feel indebted for something you never asked for. So, my friend, the next time someone offers you a favor that seems too good to be true, take a moment. Breathe deeply, analyze the situation, and remember that in the game of life, you are the main player. Don't allow anyone else to control your moves. Now, let's move on to the fourth toxic element we must avoid: constant negativity. Have you ever? 4. Constant negativity. Have you ever noticed how some individuals seem to carry a perpetual black cloud overhead, showering everyone around them with their pessimism? Picture your mind as a vibrant, blossoming garden, and then think of those negative people as ravenous snails, eager to consume every sprout of positivity you strive to nurture. It's an intimidating thought, isn't it? The truth is, constant negativity acts as a subtle poison, gradually infiltrating our lives without our immediate awareness. At first glance, it might seem harmless, or even typical. After all, who doesn't complain from time to time? However, when this negativity becomes the norm, it starts to erode our happiness and overall well-being. But don't just take my word for it. Science has much to say about this phenomenon. Studies indicate that emotions are indeed contagious. That's right, negativity can spread like an emotional cold. Researchers refer to this as emotional contagion, and it's as genuine as the air we breathe. For instance, a study from Indiana University discovered that prolonged exposure to negative emotions can even alter brain function. Can you believe it? Those incessant complaints don't just spoil your day, they could actually be rewiring your brain. So, what steps can we take to shield ourselves from this insidious poison without retreating into hermit-like isolation? This is where our Stoic friends come to our aid once again. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, had an insightful strategy for maintaining calm in the face of negativity. He advised us to choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed sounds simple, right? Yet it holds incredible power. What Marcus Aurelius teaches us is that we possess the ability to decide how we respond to the negativity around us. The next time you find yourself caught in a cycle of negativity, take a deep breath and remind yourself that the thoughts and feelings of others do not have to dictate your own. Ask yourself, is this negativity providing me with anything of value? If the answer is no, it's time to establish some boundaries. Practice empathy often. The most negative individuals are those who are suffering the most. Understand their pain, but don't absorb it. Instead, cultivate your own mental garden, enriching it with positive thoughts, gratitude, and constructive actions. Remember, while you cannot control the negativity of others, you can control your response to it. Don't let their pessimism obscure your perspective on life. If you find yourself enveloped in excessive negativity, it might be time to reassess your social environment. After all, as the Greek philosopher Epictetus wisely stated, the key to happiness and success lies in choosing the right people to surround yourself with. So, my friend, are you ready to identify and neutralize the negativity in your life? Remember, your mind is a beautiful garden, nurture it, and refuse to let the weeds of negativity take root. Before we move on to the fifth trap we must avoid, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell so you won't miss out on future content. If you resonate with this type of material as much as I do, feel free to comment. I like Stoicism, by the way. If you'd like to become a part of this wonderful community, you can join the channel by clicking the link in the pinned comment. Let's keep learning and improving our lives together. Now, let's dive into the fifth dangerous illusion we need to avoid. 5. The dangerous illusion of external validation. Have you ever caught yourself anxiously refreshing your phone, eagerly anticipating that notification indicating someone liked your latest post? If so, you're certainly not alone. Picture your self-esteem as a balloon. Each compliment and pat on the back fills it with air. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. What happens when those inflating breaths come to a halt? Constantly seeking validation is akin to constructing a house on quicksand. It may appear stable at first, but it can crumble at any moment, and trust me, you don't want to be around when that happens. Let me share a humorous story that perfectly captures this notion. One day, Juan decided to share a photo of his breakfast, a simple bowl of oatmeal. He spent 20 minutes selecting the perfect filter, and another 10 crafting a witty caption. Then he waited, checking his phone every 30 seconds for the next hour. When he finally received his first like, he nearly jumped for joy. However, as 2 hours passed and he only had 6 likes, he spiraled into self-doubt. Is my life really that boring? He questioned. Should I have added strawberries? Sound familiar? It's easy to chuckle at Juan, but the truth is, many of us find ourselves ensnared in the same web, albeit in less conspicuous ways. So, what would our friend Epictetus have to say about this? This Stoic philosopher offered profound wisdom regarding the true foundation of self-esteem. He advised us not to wish for things to happen as we desire, but rather to wish for things to unfold as they do. In doing so, we will find happiness. What Epictetus is imparting is that our happiness and self-worth should not hinge on external factors beyond our control. Instead of seeking approval from others, we should focus on our own actions and values. How can we liberate ourselves from this cycle of external validation? Here are a few suggestions. 1. Practice self-reflection. Examine your motivations. Are you doing things for yourself or merely to impress others? 2. Set your own standards. Define success on your terms, not based on social media likes. 3. Celebrate your achievements. It doesn't matter if no one else recognizes or understands your accomplishments. What matters is that you do. 4. Embrace disagreement. Not everyone will approve of your decisions, and that's perfectly okay. Remember, true validation comes from within, much like having an endless supply of water in your own garden. Don't rely on the unpredictable rainfall of others' approval. So, the next time you feel the urge for a compliment or a like, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, do I genuinely need this, or can I find that validation within myself? Because ultimately, the only opinion that truly matters is your own, and that's something no one can ever take away from you. Now, let's move on to the next topic. 6. The invisible weight of unfair comparison. Let's dive into the 6th trap we must avoid: the invisible weight of unfair comparisons. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a never-ending race, constantly glancing over your shoulder to see who's gaining on you? Imagine your life as a peaceful train ride. You're enjoying the view, moving at your own pace, when suddenly you notice another train speeding by. What do? Many of us succumb to the temptation to compare ourselves, forgetting that every train has its own track and destination. Comparing ourselves to others steals our peace in the most subtle ways. It's like a quiet thief that robs us of our joy and contentment, leaving behind a void that seems impossible to fill. But this struggle isn't unique to us. Even the people we admire, who appear to have it all figured out, battle with this same demon. Take Lady Gaga, for example, one of the most successful artists of our time. In an interview, she confessed that for years she grappled with constant comparisons to other artists, which caused her to question her talent. "I used to look at other women in the industry and feel so insecure," she admitted, wondering if she was attractive enough, or if her music measured up. This revelation reminds us that even those at the pinnacle of success aren't immune to the poisonous effects of comparison. So, how do we free ourselves from this invisible burden? This is where Stoic wisdom becomes our guide. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, offers us a powerful exercise to help break free from the compulsion to compare. The exercise is simple yet profound. Whenever you catch yourself comparing to someone else, stop and ask, "Is this under my control?" The answer is always no. You cannot control the talents, circumstances, or achievements of others. The only thing within your control is your own actions and mindset. Let's practice this together. 1. Identify the comparative thought: "I wish I were as successful as my colleague." 2. Pause and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is my colleague's success something I can control? 3. Acknowledge that it's not. Then, redirect your focus to what you can control: your own efforts, dedication, and growth. While this exercise may sound simple, its true power lies in repetition. The more often you practice it, the more you'll strengthen your ability to concentrate on your own path, rather than constantly glancing at someone else's. Remember, your journey is unique. There's no point in comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Every person has their own pace, their own challenges, and their own victories. So, the next time you find yourself slipping into the comparison trap, imagine yourself back on that train. Instead of looking out the window at other trains, focus on your own journey. Enjoy the scenery, appreciate the stops along the way, and recognize that every kilometer you travel is a victory in itself. Because at the end of the day, the only comparison that truly matters is the one you make with yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you moving toward your goals? That, my friend, is what really counts. Now, let's move on to trap number 7, the prison of unsolicited advice. 7. The prison of unsolicited advice. You are the expert of your own life. Yet today we explore the 7th trap: we need to avoid the prison of unsolicited advice. Picture your mind as a house, a space where you are in charge. Now imagine everyone around you somehow has a key, barging in uninvited, rearranging your furniture, and telling you how to live. Annoying, right? That's what unsolicited advice feels like: unexpected guests who arrive unannounced, overstay their welcome, and leave behind emotional clutter. So how do we handle this without retreating from society? First, it's crucial to distinguish between advice that's requested and advice that's uninvited. Requested advice is like welcoming a friend over for dinner. You look forward to it, appreciate their input, and enjoy the interaction. Unsolicited advice, on the other hand, is like that nosy neighbor showing up just as you're sitting down to eat. Here are a few ways to gracefully manage unsolicited advice. Be grateful, but don't feel obligated. A simple thank you for sharing your opinion can work wonders without locking you into a commitment. Set clear boundaries, saying, "I appreciate your concern, but I'd prefer to handle this on my own," allows you to take charge of your space. Redirect the conversation, gently shift the topic to steer away from more unsolicited advice. Use humor sometimes. A light-hearted joke can ease the tension while still making your point. It's not about being rude, it's about safeguarding your mental and emotional well-being. What would our friend Marcus Aurelius have to say about this? The philosopher emperor understood the importance of inner wisdom. He wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if you will ever dig." What Marcus is teaching us is that true wisdom comes from within, not from the outside. We don't need to constantly seek out advice, we need to learn to trust our own instincts and experiences. This doesn't mean we should ignore all advice. External perspectives can be helpful at times, but the key is knowing how to filter them and discern which advice is worth following and which is just noise. Not all advice is bad, but it's essential to learn how to tell the difference. Here's a personal rule I like to follow: only take advice from those who are where you want to be. For instance, in my life I run a YouTube channel and work out regularly. If someone who's never created online content gives me advice on how to manage my channel, I'll politely listen but probably won't follow it. However, if a successful YouTuber shares their insights, I'll definitely pay attention. The same goes for the gym. If someone who's never lifted a weight tells me how to train, I'll appreciate their interest but stick to my own plan. But if an experienced coach offers advice, I'm more likely to take it seriously. So the next time you find yourself bombarded by unsolicited advice, take a deep breath. Remember, you are the expert on your own life. You know your circumstances better than anyone else. Practice the art of polite listening, but don't feel compelled to act on every piece of advice thrown your way. Treat unsolicited advice like a buffet. Take what serves you and leave the rest behind. The most important voice you should listen to is your own. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, true wisdom lies within, waiting to be uncovered. So, are you ready to break free from the prison of unsolicited advice? Remember, your mind is your castle. You decide who enters and who stays. Don't hesitate to be the gatekeeper of your own thoughts and decisions. Now, let's move on to trap number 8, the mirage of quick fixes. 8. The mirage of quick fixes. Have you ever been lured by the idea of a magical shortcut to solve all your problems? Picture your life as a massive puzzle, where each piece represents a challenge, a lesson, or an experience. Now, imagine someone offering you a special glue that promises to put all the pieces together in an instant. Tempting, right? But would it really work? Quick fixes are like that mythical glue. They promise immediate results, but often leave us stuck in an even bigger mess. Why do we repeatedly fall into this trap? Psychologists at the University of Pennsylvania found that our brains are wired to seek the path of least resistance when we face a complicated problem. A primitive part of our mind craves instant solutions, even when common sense tells us it's too good to be true. The issue is, real life doesn't operate like that. Significant challenges require time, effort, and perseverance to overcome. There is no magic pill for success, no matter how appealing it may seem. So, how can we resist the temptation of quick fixes? This is where Stoic wisdom offers guidance. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us, no great thing is created suddenly. This simple yet profound statement holds a deep truth. True achievements take time and steady effort. It's not about finding shortcuts, but about embracing the journey and learning from each step along the way. Let's put this philosophy into practice. Clearly identify the problem, define what it is you want to achieve with precision. Embrace complexity, understand that important challenges seldom have simple solutions. Plan for the long term, break down your goals into realistic, manageable steps. Cultivate patience. Real progress doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. Celebrate small victories. Each step forward is a win and a sign of growth. The next time you're tempted by the allure of a quick fix, pause and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, am I seeking a shortcut, or am I willing to put in the necessary work? Because in the end, lasting solutions aren't found in some magic trick. They are forged through consistent effort, patience, and perseverance. As Epictetus wisely said, difficulties are what show a person's true character. So, are you ready to step away from the illusion of quick fixes and embrace the path of steady effort? Remember, each challenge you encounter is a chance to grow, to learn, and to become a stronger version of yourself. Don't chase after shortcuts. Instead, seek personal growth. After all, the journey is just as significant as the destination, And who knows? You might just find that the real treasure was along the way all along. Now, let's move on to 9. The guilt that does not belong to us. The final trap we must avoid is carrying the guilt that isn't ours. Have you ever felt like a magnet, attracting the guilt of others? Picture your mind as a well-tended garden, where you've worked hard to nurture positive thoughts and emotions. Then, someone comes along and starts tossing their own weeds into your space. What are you supposed to do? Many of us, either out of habit or to avoid conflict, accept this without thinking. But accepting other people's guilt is like watering those weeds. You give them life and allow them to spread. Before you know it, they've overrun your mental garden. Why is this so harmful? First, it drains the energy you could be using to grow yourself. Second, it distorts your sense of reality. And third, it traps you in a cycle of victimhood. So how can we free ourselves from this destructive cycle? Here's a practical approach to setting healthy boundaries. 1. Recognize when someone is trying to shift their blame onto you. 2. Breathe. Take a moment to center yourself before responding. 3. Acknowledge their feelings without accepting responsibility. 4. Set limits. Communicate clearly that you won't carry the blame for them. 5. Redirect. Encourage them to seek constructive solutions instead of offloading guilt. Practice this technique, and you'll watch your mental garden bloom, free of the weeds of misplaced guilt. Remember what our friend Epictetus said: it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. What Epictetus is teaching us is that we have the power to choose how we perceive situations. Next time someone tries to offload their guilt onto you, remember you are the gardener of your own mind. You decide what grows there and what doesn't. This isn't about being insensitive to others' problems, it's about keeping a healthy balance. You can offer support and empathy without accepting guilt that isn't yours. Every time you reject unfair blame, you plant seeds of self-esteem and self-respect. Those are the most beautiful flowers you can cultivate in your mental garden. Are you ready to free yourself from the trap of other people's guilt? Start today. Watch your interactions, recognize when someone tries to pass the blame, and set boundaries. Do the best you can with what's in your control, and let the rest go. Throughout this journey, we've explored 9 traps that can steal our peace of mind, from unsolicited advice to secondhand guilt. But how do we act on this knowledge? Enter the art of wise rejection. This isn't about closing doors randomly, but carefully choosing what we let into our lives. Picture yourself as the gatekeeper of your own exclusive club. Not everyone deserves to enter. Imagine your mind as a beautiful garden, and wise rejection as the fence that keeps out the weeds. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to your own growth. But how do we practice wise rejection without feeling guilty? Here are some strategies. Recognize your value. Remember that your time and energy are precious. Be kind but firm. You don't need to be rude to set boundaries. Offer alternatives. Sometimes no can simply be not now or in another way. Self-reflect regularly. Ask yourself if your current commitments are serving your true purpose. Here's an exercise to put everything into action. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. In the first, write down all the things you've been accepting in your life that no longer serve you. These could be toxic relationships, negative habits, or unnecessary commitments. In the second column, write what you would gain by letting them go: more time, peace of mind, energy for what truly matters. This exercise will give you a clear vision of what you need to start rejecting wisely in your life. Remember, every no is an opportunity for a more meaningful yes. Wise rejection isn't about shutting yourself off from the world, but creating space for what truly matters. It's like cleaning out your emotional closet. Sometimes you need to let go of the